We were blessed with 2 ears, 2 eyes, and only 1 mouth for a reason. That's exactly how I'm rolling into this video, so stay till the end if you want to hear my input and perspective. James 1 verse 19 says, "Know this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. For the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God."
Hey, how's it going?
Big Ben, what's up with you?
How's it going, dude?
Hey, I'm doing all right. Okay, so my question is, well, first I'm gonna kind of.
I need to give you this hammer. You're enormous, dude. Like, you can wield this much better than I can. I look like one of the dwarves from Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. When I go mining or something.
Appreciate that.
6'5", 285. That's the definition of burly and swole. With the dreadlocks.
So first I'm gonna kind of paraphrase another speaker who kind of operates along your same tone in America, Jordan Peterson, Dr. Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
Always love JP.
So one of the things that he often talks about is at the basis or the premise of the ongoing debate between conservatism versus liberalism is that at the basis of each, conservatism is like the protection of the hierarchy, whereas on the liberal side it's more so the protection and promotion of egalitarianism. And so my question to you is, one thing that he makes clear is that both sides are necessary for or are ideal in a country that moves forward at a fast pace as the United States has done. And so my question to you is, it seems as though you have such a hostility towards liberals and leftists, whereas I don't often hear you at all say that there's anything that you can learn from their side. In his book, 12 Rules of Life, one of the chapters is assume that the person in which you're speaking with has something to offer you as far as intellectually that you may learn from them. So my question to you is, I guess, what is your position? Like, do you feel as though a liberal, or obviously a liberal, but liberals in general or leftists in general have anything to bring to the table from an ideology standpoint or intellectually?
I mean, passion for change is obviously, it can be a good thing when directed in the proper channels. As you say, the left's focus on egalitarianism is good so long as it is focused on the equal application of rights, not on the false attempts to override biology and natural hierarchies. So I think Jordan would agree with me on the idea that if you butt up against a natural hierarchy, or if you butt up against natural differences, because I don't think every difference is a hierarchy. If you butt up against natural difference, you butt up against reality. Trying to override reality with artificial equality is going to be a giant failure and can, as Jordan would say, murder millions in the process, right? That's what Jordan thinks communism was basically there are differences between human beings. Failure to respect those differences is what, in the name of equality, is what leads to the gulags. So while Jordan is, I think he's a little bit less robust in the language that he uses with regard to left. He's just as anti-left with regard to the focus on hardcore egalitarianism, where the left. So I do think, and I do make a distinction between, as I've said, liberals and the left. The left is a far more censorious force. They want to censor a lot more. They're a lot more tyrannical. They want to control a lot more from the top. People who are liberals, who are arguing over the proper scope of government in particular areas, I think there's plenty to learn, and I think that you can have fulsome exchanges about the nature of what sort of social welfare state can be supported or is appropriate, and you can have a data exchange on that sort of thing. Where you can't really have an exchange is when you're running up against, is when people are falsifying the facts, as they are when they say that men and women are exactly the same, for example. So I appreciate the critique, and I'll try to take that to heart. And I think that, and I will acknowledge also that I think that folks had a lot more to learn from the left in the 1960s than they do now, because the country has moved in a lot of very good ways since the 1960s, and in some bad ways since the 1960s.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Can I ask another question, or?
Yeah, one more. Go for it.
We have another one. Mm-hmm. Okay, and this has to do with the whole, national anthem in players kneeling during games in the NFL. And so my question is this, I feel that regardless of whether you agree with the act or not, someone taking a knee during the national anthem at the beginning of a football game, I believe that if you don't say, okay, I disagree with the act, I don't think it's the right place, I don't think it's the right whatever the case may be, however, I agree with it in so much as I would like to protect that individual's freedom of speech. And my question is, I don't hear well, you certainly, or a lot of anyone on the conservative side or right side, as you would call it, as someone may call it, defending, saying, okay, look, I don't agree with it, but I agree with that person's freedom of speech in that moment, or utilizing that act.
So it depends on the forum. So this is a public university. I have a right to speak here, right? There's a difference between that and, for example, DePaul University. So DePaul University is a private university. Last year, I think it was last year, DePaul invited me to speak, or at least some of the students did. The administration said I couldn't, and when I showed up on campus, they threatened to arrest me. I didn't sue the university because they have a right to do that. I think they're wrong. I think they're foolish. But they have a right to do that. Okay. So Colin Kaepernick does not have the right to kneel on the sidelines of a private NFL event. If he wants to kneel in a park, he's more than welcome to do so.
According to who, he doesn't have the right?
Well, he doesn't have the legal right. He can't sue the NFL to force them to...
Oh, sure, he can't sue the NFL, certainly.
So that's the distinction that I'm making. When it comes, like, if Colin Kaepernick were to come here, like right here, you know, and like after the event that we haven't organized, he wants to kneel on the stage all day long, that's totally fine. It's a public university, he can do what he wants. So time, place, and manner restrictions are a thing, and so is private versus public. So I'll defend Colin Kaepernick's right to say whatever the hell he wants in any public area, so long as he's not violating the rights of private property owners to control their property, because they do have rights. Like, he couldn't come into my living room and just kneel on the floor.
Do you think the conversation is based around the fact that the NFL is a private organization, or is it based around the fact that they feel that that action disrespects our military in that moment because the national anthem is so associated?
Well, I think the NFL handled this in the worst way possible, which is they allowed certain messages and not other messages.
Then we're on the same page.
Right. So like a few years ago, there were a bunch of guys in Missouri who did the hands up, don't shoot symbol coming at the St. Louis Rams. They came out of the tunnel doing the hands up, don't shoot. They weren't fined, nothing happened. If the NFL wants to set a standard that you're not allowed to make political statements during the games or in the warm-ups or something, totally cool. But if they're going to be inconsistent in the application of those standards, then I've got a bit of a problem with them. And I think that Roger Goodell has done a terrible job with that. And you know how you know this? Because David Stern actually banned people from sitting for the national anthem in 1996 with Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, and nothing happened. He set the standard, that was the end of it. If you want to go protest, don't protest here, go protest somewhere else, and nobody cared. But that's really not even look, the larger issue about Kaepernick is, you know, whether it is appropriate generally for people to kneel for the national anthem or whether we should be insulted by that. You know, my feeling is that it's generally not appropriate, but you have having a right to do something does not make it the appropriate or right thing to do. I don't think that kneeling for the national anthem is either smart politics or the right thing to do, because there are certain things that still have to unify us, like the idea the country is based on good foundations. And if he wanted to kneel for the national anthem outside a police station, I think that would be a lot more useful for his supposed cause than, you know, taking millions and millions of dollars of contracts from Nike to pretend to be a social justice warrior. I'm very skeptical of Colin Kaepernick. I think there are a lot of people who actually care about these issues and have studied the issues and don't wear socks with pictures of cops as pigs on them.
Just want to say thank you, and I agree that if that was going to happen, Colin Kaepernick may not have been the best proponent, the best individual to make that stand in that situation. Thanks a lot.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming.
So first off, huge respect to both of these gentlemen, two grown men having a heartfelt discussion about very tough issues. And we need a whole lot more of this all across the world. Please, can we just get back to being able to have respectful dialogue between two people without shouting and yelling and bashing and belittling? And I have to commend and talk about the man asking the question. I believe his name is Dominique Davis, 6'5", 285, NFL player. I believe at this time he was for the Kansas City Chiefs. I love the thought and how it was delivered. He was very articulate. And you have to imagine it's very difficult to stand up and disagree with someone who everybody's there attending to see, who most people are probably going to agree with in Ben Shapiro. And it's super refreshing just to see two people having a respectful, intelligent conversation these days. I absolutely love it. And huge props to the man standing up and having the courage, the cojones to share his side without caring about what anybody else may think. It's crazy and kind of ridiculous when you think about it. Then when we witness no screaming, no people interrupting and talking over one another, just a civil discussion between two individuals, we take that as a brand new discovery, which it used to be such a simple task, but nowadays in today's climate, these viral debates and media headlines and things, you always got people just completely trashing the next person. You're never able to just exchange some free ideas and take another person's thought as just that, as a thought. You can disagree with it. And I love that Ben's demeanor. He's always consistent. He's as consistent as it gets, in my opinion. He always comes correct with facts and truth bombs. And I think his response was money, as you'd expect it to be. But this This man right here, Nico Davis, he said some things that a lot of folks are afraid to say publicly because of the cancel culture that we live in. People always being intimidated about being silenced, which is crazy. It's completely contradictory to our freedom of speech rights as Americans, but it's just the season that we find ourselves in. And that's why I'll continue to use this platform that I've been blessed with to call out the BS and to never sugarcoat the sin that we see pervasively on display in our everyday society. I may get off into a little bit of a tangent here, but stay with me. And again, bravo to those two for displaying brilliance, in my opinion, and just, putting this out in the public for other people to see how a discussion is supposed to go, how it's supposed to play out, whether you agree or disagree. That's just how it's supposed to go. But I got to talk about this because I'm tired of all the lying and delusion going on just to push a narrative. Just because something doesn't go your way doesn't mean it's a race issue. Maybe you weren't qualified for the job, or maybe your skill level, you didn't have that sort of dedication and skill set as the next man or woman. The truth shall set you free. So I'm going to talk about it, and I think that's a discussion we need to have. Think about it like this. Just because you have a license to drive, which most of us do if you're over the age of 16, that doesn't give you the license to steal someone else's vehicle. I'm talking about Colin Kaepernick. I'm going to make it make sense. I'm a firm believer that all of us are part of the one race, the human race, and we should treat everybody well unless they give us another reason not to, unless they disrespect us or our family. But in regards to Colin Kaepernick, since we're talking about it from this perspective, I think the man personally, I think he looks Middle Eastern, and he was a mediocre quarterback in his tenure in the NFL when he was a part of the league. He didn't do his job. He got booted out of the league because not because of his level of melanin, but he threw a temper tantrum because he got benched for not doing his job to the level that he was paid to do. And then he somehow flipped that into this woe is me false victim spectacle. Yes, just like Ben touched on in the video, Colin Kaepernick has the right to express his beliefs. We all have that right. But what we don't have the right to do is express those beliefs on this platform. We don't have the right to protest at an NFL game because it's a privately owned company and corporation. Colin stole an opportunity, aka airtime, without express permission from the National Football League. The broadcast is intellectual property of the NFL, not of Colin Kaepernick. So these networks pay millions of dollars for the use of these broadcasts and putting their product out on display in television form, in news form, however you want to put it out there. If it's a private company, you don't have permission to do that. Colin mistakenly or purposely thought that it was, to use as he wanted for free and without regard to the damage that it may cause. He tried to portray himself as this heroic figure standing up for something that prior his 20 plus years on the face of the earth, he had never stood up before. And even Satan disguises himself as the light, as in angel form. But I'm not saying his purpose and reason for doing so wasn't well-natured in theory, but he didn't go about it the right way. And hey, I could be wrong. Maybe I'm being a little harsh, and Colin, just like all the other social justice warriors we see, actually does care about Black lives. I highly doubt it, because why did he wait until he had to ride the pine to make that his initiative? Why did he have 20 years of life and millions of dollars before he started to, put some sort of effort and change towards minorities? You have to wonder, did he really care about lower income and less fortunate portions of society? Or maybe did he just want all the focus and future lucrative partnerships to be aimed his way? That's my guess. That's my bet. You let me know what you think down below. But the way he went about it was completely wrong. Let's not forget the divisive act of taking a knee during our national anthem. Just think about how that looks to those who have served and died for our freedoms. I didn't personally serve, and I felt disrespected. So I can imagine for the brave men and women who have fought and died for our freedoms, for people like him to play a sport and entertain us and get paid millions upon millions of dollars, for him to do that during the middle of a football game, which is supposed to be like the safe haven, the getaway from everyday reality, for us to go enjoy men that clang and bang iron all week and sacrifice sweat and tears to go at it. No holds bars, for us to watch that and then have to sit and witness him disrespect brave men and women that serve all over the world for our freedoms and things that we take for granted. I can imagine how that would come off. That's why he gets painted in this light, because if you really cared about something, you would have been doing it a long time ago. From the very moment that you stepped into the league, you could have started to make a difference for a cause that was just in your eyes and that you thought that you could actually help aid in. But no. Not until that you had to ride the pine, not until somebody pointed out that you're trash as an NFL quarterback. Oh, then you want a virtue signal. I don't buy it. That's just some food for thought. I would love to hear your thoughts down below in the comments. I will always stand behind the fact that I think he's a whiny crybaby that didn't get his way, so he decided to twist the story and throw a temper tantrum because, you know, mommy and daddy didn't give him everything that he wanted. So I'll never buy it, but y'all let me know what you think down below. I can't end this video on a grim note, so to wrap things up, I did some digging because I was curious about the man in the video. They said he was an NFL player. His name is Dominique Davis. I believe he played for the Pittsburgh Steelers and Kansas City Chiefs. This video was from a few years back at the University of Buffalo, and now Mr. Davis is a police officer in Buffalo. So that's absolutely amazing, and I have nothing but love for my blue line men and women out there and all people that fight the good fight, from our armed forces, for our doctors, our firefighters, all of the brave men and women that fight to keep American citizens safe. Y'all got the utmost love and respect from me. So pray for Mr. Davis, pray for Ben Shapiro, pray for everybody in this world that they find truth and peace and eternal salvation, which can only be found in Christ the Son. So keep pursuing that and keep pushing back against this woke insanity. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe if you're not already, ring the notification bell so you get notified anytime I post a video. If you want to take it a step further, you like what we're doing over here and you want to show a little love and support, you can always get awesome designs like this, Love Like Jesus, made by my lovely wife over in her Etsy store. That can be found below, linked in the description section, as well as joining the Patreon fam. You can do that, donate on PayPal, tap the thanks button on YouTube. You could buy me a coffee, any of that, or you don't got to do any of that at all. I just appreciate y'all showing up, listening to me rant and give my 2 cents on it. But until next time, I love y'all. I'll be praying for you. Godspeed. I'm gone.